There are a few times in life when you really start questioning every single decision you've ever made that brought you to a certain point, and this was one of those days. Let's see how this goes. So I had some trees that needed taking care of, and before getting started on the main project, I thought it would be good to get some experience with complicated things. So rather than buying two new chainsaws, I decided to buy two junk chainsaws and try and repair them myself. So I went online to the local Craigslist thing, and I found these two chainsaws. This is the first one. It's a steel MS170, which is a little baby chainsaw. And yeah, I bought them, and I think this was just to give myself some experience, in doing something that I hadn't done before, and just seeing if I was really going to be capable of doing everything that I've set out to do. But yeah, so I was really careful opening it because I didn't know what was inside. You can see it's been really beautifully wrapped, and that's something that is very typical to hear. Everyone takes time, just to make sure that things are okay. So once I had it sort of unboxed, took it out of the box, and I just wanted to do a small inspection and make sure that I knew I was getting myself in for. There was no oil at the bottom of the box, which is really good. That was something that I'd been told to look out for, was oil leaks. But I was going to strip these down anyway, so it wasn't a big issue, but it was just one less thing to worry about, because it could mean the case was cracked as well, which is another story. So this little baby chainsaw is my favorite. I really enjoy using it. It's light, it's easy to wield. It doesn't make your arms tired, if you're using it for the whole day. And I've used it for cutting down trees that perhaps I shouldn't be cutting down with such a small chainsaw, but it does work really, really well. And I really, really do enjoy using it. When I found it, I didn't really understand the types of chainsaws they were and what each chainsaw was designed to do, but I got it because it was cheap. I think it was like $45 or something, and the list price is about $200. So it was a lot cheaper than buying a new chainsaw. So I went for it, and then there it was. I was quite happy because it looked like it had everything that it needed to function once fixed, and didn't have to buy too many parts. And again, there wasn't a lot of oil leaking, which is good. It means that things are not as bad as described. It had not been looked after, and that's something that was very clear. There was a lot of black soot and dust and sort of chainsaw dust mixed with oil all over the place. But it had all the bits and pieces. That red and white sticker is an indication that you should use mixed oil 50-1, so gasoline with oil mixed into it, because it's a two-stroke engine. It didn't have a muffler, which was I found out the reason that they sold it as junk, and we'll get to that a little bit later. That was quite funny. And that's the high-low adjustment for the carb, idle adjustment, and the stop-start switch, which functions as well. It's got an electronic stop-start. Surprise, surprise! It had oil in it, which was interesting. I didn't think that they would ship with oil. It's probably why they wrapped it in plastic, actually, just to make sure that if it did leak, it didn't get the postal service really angry with them. And gasoline as well. So I suspect it had been used right up until it was sold. It was just interesting that they didn't bother to drain it. So here is the piston. You can see it's not smooth and shiny. It's covered in soot and has scratches, so it's not good. The underside was pretty dirty. But it is what it is. It's chainsaws spend a lot of time in the dirt, so there's no way around that. I didn't understand what the black soot was. Why on the recoil cover it was covered in. I don't know what they were doing with the chainsaw. It's like someone was stood in the middle of a fire, cutting burning wood. What else was there? So at this point, I kind of realized that I should probably start thinking about disassembling it, which was nerve-wracking because I'd never done anything like this before. It's kind of difficult, where do you start? I'd been looking on YouTube for a while to see to watch tutorials and things, but I was still really nervous at this point, because it's the first time. The bar and chain I had to order, and the piston and the muffler were the main things that I had to order. There were some other bits and pieces, some pipes that I found that were well, they weren't leaking, but I just decided to replace them anyway. The nice thing about this chainsaw is it's got windows on the front and back for oil and gas, so you can see how much is left. And I figured out it had been used by a company. That green cross on there is a safety sticker, but it was a gardening company, I think, and that's probably why they they probably decided they didn't need any more because of what we're about to see, which is quite scary. And this is why you should always mix oil and gasoline for your chainsaw. So once I got the spark plug out, I had a look at the piston, and you can see there is a hole at the top of the piston. And hang on a sec, where is it? Boom, there it is. There's the hole right at the top of the piston, which indicates that the piston chamber overheated and the piston just exploded. And I would have loved to have been around for that, because that would have made a really good sound. The carburetor was clean. I did disassemble it and clean it, but it still works. And then the next thing was the spark plug. This is the clutch, which was still in relatively good nick. I managed to get that off, and there's more of this very suspicious black, oily chainsaw dust. I don't think it was coming from the oil chamber, because you can see the oil leaking out of there is actually pretty clean. The wood around it is still brown, doesn't have any black soot to it. One of the fins on the piston chamber was broken, and that's another reason I decided to get a new piston chamber. And then here is, I think, the spark plug. Hang on a sec. Yeah, it was kind of hard to film and focus and film and focus at the same time. So the spark plug was okay for the hell it had been through in that piston chamber. Shame, it's probably seen more action than it really needed to in its short life. But I still used the spark plug. I cleaned it up. The gap was still fine. It still sparks just great. So that was good. And yeah, hang on a sec. Let me just try and focus that a little bit more. I don't know why I wanted to show you this, but yeah, it's the most important part of the chainsaw. It's kind of what gets the gas going. So yep, and there it is. It's really reliable, made in Japan spark plug. It was really good. So I still use that, and it still works really well. Yeah, so after this, it was disassembly and just trying to get it torn down and cleaned up, because it really needed a clean. It really needed to be looked after. And yeah, and that's the sparky thing, that what makes the chainsaw go boom boom. I don't know what it's called. It's where the spark comes out of. Anyway, enough of me talking. Here is the dismantling. So yeah, so this is the clutch. It had water in it, so I think it's been outside. It's a bit rusty. I still use this clutch. It is a bit slippy. I think I'm going to replace it in winter. This winter, like January, February 2022. Yeah, so you can see it was pretty. It started getting rusty. It still works, and it's not terrible. And there's the needle bearing on the shaft, which is kind of okay. Did I replace this? I think I still kept this. I'm still using this one. I didn't bother replacing that. And I got organized in that little plastic box to make sure I didn't lose anything, because there are so many bits. Word to the wise: get a small box to organize all the small things, because they will get lost. Yeah, and that was about it for the disassembly. Next time to talk about cleaning, because that was fun. But yeah, that's it. I will see you again in a week. Godspeed.